Hi guys, Alex Taylor here, and today we're going to do a review on a new set of irons from Cobra, the King F6 irons. So I've got 5-iron, 7-iron, pitching wedge and sand wedge. I'm going to hit a few shots with each. I've already hit a few off camera, but I'm going to hit a few more on camera, talk to you about the different design in the heads as they move from kind of long irons down to short irons. We're going to hit real balls, normalised mode on flight scope, give you a bit of feedback on how they look and feel, and then we'll look at some numbers, see how they perform, see if you're in the market for a new set of irons. Will the King F6 be something that may be in your bag for this year? So, we're going to hit the 5-iron first off. Like I said, I've already hit a few off camera, but we're going to hit 3 more shots with the 5-iron and talk a little bit about the technology in the head first off. Okay guys, so we've got 5-iron in our hands to begin with. We have got full hollow, so a completely hollow head. In the sole of the club we've got the speed channel, so going to give a little bit more flex in there. You know, and a decent sole and a relatively thick top line, but completely hollow should make that incredibly easy to hit. Okay guys, so from the design of the head, we're expecting this to be nice and forgiving and get the ball up in the air, and I would imagine hit the ball a pretty decent distance. So I would say behind the ball, slightly chunky top line, but certainly by no means the thickest out there. And it really comes off the face nice and quick, and definitely doesn't disappoint in the height that you can hit the ball. And I think the design of this is clever, and they're not the only manufacturer that do this. You know, it's making those long to mid irons easier for guys to hit, easier to get in the air, and encouraging guys to get these clubs back in the bag over hybrids. I mean, that 5-iron feels so easy to hit. It's almost scary how easy that is. So let's do one more with 5-iron, and then we'll move down to 7-iron. Little bit out of the toe. I mean, to be honest, that looks like it's almost gone, like the good ones. So, I mean, first thought on 5-iron, I think from my perspective, I think it looks okay. Feels very, very quick off the face, which is nice, and feels incredibly easy to hit. So let's move across onto 7-iron. So again, let's look, the design of this one's slightly different, so let's have a close-up on the head and talk through how the technology changes from 5 to 7-iron. Okay, so we move into the 7-iron. We've still got the speed channel. We've now gone from full hollow to just half hollow. So there's a little bit of an undercut in there. Again, a relatively thick sole. And certainly as we move into the top, you know, still a fairly thick top line for a 7-iron, but the way that head's designed is optimal centre of gravity to give you the most forgiving, powerful shots possible. Okay guys, so it's not completely hollow head now, just half hollow for the 7-iron. Still thicker top line, and again I'm still expecting this to get the ball in the air and hit the ball a good distance. And again, just very, very high. You know, so even if when we look at numbers, guys maybe don't get quite the spin that they expect, I still expect this to get the ball up in the air and be able to stop it a bit with height. I do love modern equipment. You know, I mean, I grew up obviously a long time ago, but playing blades. And as long as you get stuff in your bag now that's set up properly for you, you know, you don't really have to be making in my opinion, the best swing to get some very, very good results. So last one was 7-iron. And a little bit out the toe. Again's really gone fantastically well. So, I mean, as with the 5-iron, slightly different technology in the 7, but again, I think it performed, looks-wise, very, very well. So as we move down onto pitching wedge, again, we've gone from full hollow to half hollow. Now this is more of a traditional cavity back club. So then we move into pitching wedge. So we're now moving into more of a traditional cavity back. Again, we've still got speed channel in the sole. So unlike other manufacturers, they're maintaining the speed channel through the irons. Regular cavity back now, and certainly a slightly thinner top line into there to look a bit more like a traditional club, whatever traditional counts as nowadays. Okay, and as we get this behind the ball now, I think the top line's not quite as thick. It's starting to look a little bit more traditional. But it still really jumps off the face. So there's still plenty of kind of power in that. And you know, I think for a pitching wedge, this is a really good looking club. Again, just very, very high. Again, you know, nothing but impressed with what I've seen so far as we've worked through the bag. So final one with pitching wedge. Must just be the case at the moment that every last shot with the club I've got hit a little bit towards the toe. But yeah, pitching wedge good. So we move down into sand wedge, and this is probably the most traditional in design out of all the irons. Finally onto sand wedge. So for me, clever this from Cobra. You know, a lot of guys end up buying maybe more of a different wedge that doesn't match the set, but they've now gone for a muscle back in their gap wedge and sand wedge. Very traditional. More of a speciality wedge, but comes as part of the set. More traditional to look at, nice thin top line. Like I said, muscle back in design. Going to perform really, really like some of your premium wedges out there. So guys, now this is actually a proper muscle back, so no cavity in here. And I think with a lot of various sets of irons, I really like the fact of the cavity back in there, but I think when there's still a cavity back in the sand wedge, and it's sand wedge and gap wedge, this is the case. Sand wedge, I think guys get more out of more of a bladed club because it's a bit more versatile. So we'll hit a couple of full shots. I think it looks lovely behind the ball. Again, just that for me doesn't look like it does any different than a normal sand wedge would for me. Feels good, feels nice and soft. One final one. And again, I mean, I think the only issue I would have, and we'll look at the numbers, is for me, sand wedge just at the loft it's at is only going to go the distance that would. I think because all the other clubs, stronger lofts, but still hit it high, but they hit it further, it'd be interesting to see the numbers, see what the gap is from pitching wedge to sand wedge, bearing in mind there's only one iron that fits in there. So as well for sand wedge though, I think this is the kind of club I'd be hitting a few little pitch shots with. So, you know, like I said, I think it is very traditional. It's a muscle back club. And straight away for me, the different little pitch swings that I do, I think the ball seems to just do what my 56 does. So just hit one last little pitch shot and then we'll have a look at some numbers. Yeah, I mean, all in all there, I've hit 5 iron, 7 iron, pitching wedge and sand wedge. Really, really impressed with looks and feel. So let's look at some numbers and see exactly how they perform. Okay then guys, if you look through the numbers, 5 iron, 192 carry. Decent for me, but very impressed with the backspin at 4,500. Moving on to 7 iron, 176, great carry for me. And again, spin very impressive at 6,500. Wedge really flew a long way at 140. Now, for whatever reason, the spin was slightly down on pitching wedge, maybe down to strike a little bit, but generally they felt pretty good strikes, but touch on the low side for me there. And then full shots with the sand wedge, 93 yards, about the same as I'd normally expect, and reasonable spin, maybe just a touch on the low side at 9,100. But all in all, very, very long with wedge and 7 iron, and just fractionally longer than normal for me at 5 iron. Okay guys, so we've looked at some numbers there, and did they do what I expected? Yes. Are the modern irons that are designed like this designed to hit the ball high? Yes. Did they? Absolutely. They're designed to kind of get the ball out there a little bit further, and they absolutely delivered. You know, great numbers for 5 iron, 7 iron, and wedge. hitting it a long way. Now, like I said, the only sticking point for me is some wedge to sand wedge there. It's a very big gap with only one club to fit in. So potentially for me, if I was having these, I might have to look at even additional club with a different loft that might fit in between pitch and gap or gap and sand. But Cobra King F6 irons, if you're in the market for a new iron and you want something that's forgiving, hits the ball further and is very easy to get in the air, this is definitely something you should be looking at. As ever guys, really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. If you've tried these, let me know, leave any comments below. If they're already in your bag, let me know if it's made a difference to your game. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already subscribe. Also let me know if there's anything you'd like me to test these against. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down in the future. Stay in contact.